Alrighty. Do 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 live from Columbus, OH. And that means audio is working. And this is the Ramsey Show Aftershow show. I'm Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach as I get settled in here. Sorry about the awkness. You're watching this on youtube.com/Coach Steve Money, and my financial content is right below the Oak Island playlist. That would be the Ramsey Show After Show. Hey, look, that's this show. Today is number 603 today. Answering your financial questions playlist, and there are how many? 198 in there. And the music playlist featuring such wonderful classics as You Belong Debt Free, You Belong Debt Free. Market report. Down today after a nice up day yesterday. Haven't checked on it in a little while. Let's see what is going up. S&P are going down, or going on rather. So today down, obviously. In the last 5 days down. In the last month though, and see, that's why you don't want to freak out over this, or even 1 month, or even 6 months, because we're looking more for the year result. Hey, look, that beats the 10% that we are expecting minimum each year. Hey, look at that. And the 5-year is even better. And so that's what we're looking at. We're not day trading here. So we don't care what it's at today. We don't care what it's at over 5 days or a month or 6 months. The only thing you have to care about is when you want to take the money out in retirement. And of course, we're thinking about just retirement investing in this particular deal. Now, if you are in step 7, you can do as much investing as you want, but you would just do 15% of your gross income into retirement only until you are retirement age. Or no, until you're in step 7, and then that's when you can invest more than the 15%. You can invest as much as you want at that point. In step 7, you can do anything you want except go into a lower baby step, except, I guess, saving for a down payment for a larger house, if you chose to do that. See what the rest of the planet is looking like. What do we want to do? Let's see, try that. There we go. The rest of the planet is up in Europe. Mostly up in Asia. The US dollar. Down to the euro. Down to the Japanese yen. Down to the British pound, low. It wasn't, but now it is. Down to the British pound, low. So right there at about even. Down to the Canadian dollar, sorry. And up though against the Australian dolomite, and I'm sure they're over there saying "nar" with their freaking inflation there. It is crazy over there how much things cost. People make more money too, though, but it doesn't have. If you took the money from there that you're making, say $100,000 there, right? Compared to here, the $100,000 there gives about $50,000 worth of buying power. And here it would be more like 150, something like that. That's rough math. Don't take that literally. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's basically the truth. Oh, let's see. What do we have happening on the earnings front? Rigetti Computing. Never heard of it. Nebius Group. Nebius Group. I don't know of any of these except Applied Materials. I have heard of that. Most followed single stocks on the Google. Apple is up. Down are Alphabet, which owns the Google and the YouTube. Down is Microsoft and Amazon and so all the rest of them are down, including the Tesla. Okay. When I looked earlier, there were like 3 of them that were up. All right. So trending down, it looks like. What else do we? Let's take a quick look at headlines. Just a quick look. Big short investor Michael Burry accuses AI hyperscalers of artificially boosting earnings. Okay. Wall Street Journal, using your credit card at the checkout is set to get a lot more complicated. How? At this point, was that Wall Street Journal? We can't look at that anyway without an account. So won't click on it. Sort Bank sells. I will look into that after I'm done if I remember. 50-50 on that remembering. SoftBank sells its entire stake in NVIDIA for $5.83 billion. Well, maybe SoftBank wasn't banking very well and they needed that money. Perhaps nothing to do with NVIDIA, maybe. But when that happens, when, that's no fault of NVIDIA's if SoftBank needed it for their money problems. But a move like that would make it, that could make it other people sell as well, thinking there was a problem. When there is none, obviously. Stock market today, Nasdaq AI, angst overshot. Why don't we don't have angst over it? Again, stop day trading, and then you don't have to worry about it. Hopes for end to into U.S. shutdown, right? Which I think is why it might have gone up yesterday, because there was some reason to believe that end to the stalemate was coming. Sonder, don't know what that is either, announced bankruptcy plans tell guests to vacate hotel rooms. People were scrambling. Oh, it's a hotel? That's not fun for you to, especially if you already paid in advance for your room. That's not fun at all. The bull crisis indicator flashes red. Uh-oh. Yahoo Finance. All right, I'll bite. That sounded interesting enough. Let's see. Flashes red. You don't need to watch more than a few Chipotle hack videos to know something is off. The bowls are half full, figuratively speaking. Oh, I did not know that. I thought that was going to be some bowl chart or a bowl kind of, not formula, what's it called? Like a bowl allegory kind of thing, like a chart or something like that you could see that looks like a bowl maybe. Major reason behind their flagging operations, help clarify a key storyline in the economy left open-ended. Amid the government shutdown, young people are feeling greater financial pressure, squeezed by housing costs, frozen jobs market, and slower wage growth. Are we gonna go back to the Chipotle thing? I don't care about anything except the Chipotle thing. I actually had it, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? And it was full at my local Chipotle though, so I cannot speak to that. Maybe where are we at? Where are we at here? In where is Yahoo located? I don't know where Yahoo is located. If it's New York City, that might be a different story than Columbus, Ohio. Were we done? Oh, a couple more. Oh, Trump just floated 50-year mortgage. Is that a good idea? Of course, it's not a good idea. Mr. Ramsey, of course, is even against the 30 and even the 25 or 20. He says it has to be a 15, which shows that you're not going to be house poor. Splitting it out to 50 years is crazy. Of course, you know, I would have thought that a 10-year car loan or even an 8-year car loan is too much as well, but that happened. And see, that's just how they get dumb people to keep doing debt. I mean, say, could you imagine? Can you imagine if a 50-year mortgage happens? Because people already buy way too much house on a 30-year mortgage. Could you imagine? Because the spread out payment will be so low that you'll be able to buy it now. Um, and of course, banks will loan you way more money than they should. But it's still not going to be a good idea, even with the lower mortgage payment. It's not going to be a good idea. And of course, you know, Trump doesn't come to his ideas through through good financial sense. That's not how that happens. A 50-year mortgage will probably get more people into houses. More people into houses, I guess, means the economy is doing better, and that would be all that he would care about. So that makes sense. China hatches plan to keep U.S. military from getting its rare earth magnets. Yabech magnets from a little show called, what's it called? Breaking Bad. Almost forgot for a second. Not today, dementia. Warren Buffett admits his giving pledge philanthropy was not feasible. He's instead left his 3 kids $500 million a year to give away. Okay. I don't know what his giving pledge. Where is that from? Fortune. If I remember, I'll take a look at this. I'll leave this tab up, and so that way I'll remember, and I can look into these too and report back tomorrow when there will be another Ramsey Show after show. Let's answer some questions. Oh, we do have the didn't talk about that. The Dow Jones is up 0.5%, so that's good. And that again is why we have a diversified portfolio of 25% each in small, mid, large cap, and international managed mutual funds that beat these freaking indexes, lazy people. Oh, did that? Okay, let's do some questions. Need a good game plan? Well, first, don't have your quarterback dislocate his elbow. But before that, don't have like 5 defensive starters on injured reserve either to start the season. Don't do that. So that would not be a good game plan. But that has nothing to do with finances. Let's see what the finance question is here. Debt, car, car, $12,200. Sell it, buy a beater. No credit card debt or student loan, great. Renting, $893. I'm making $60K a year after all expenses. I have an extra $500 a week to play with. Suggestions to make it more than $500. And how you do that is you cut your expenses. So budgeting would be the thing. So unfortunately, I guess, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, and I consider it fortunate because it's the beauty of the Ramsey advice that it's the same for freaking everybody. So you just do what everybody else would do. Part of baby step 0 is you do a freaking budget and you cut out things. If you're on baby steps 1, 2, and 3, you cut out things that are not 100% necessary while you get your finances in better shape. So that's what I would do with that. But let's just pretend you did that already, and this 500 is everything that you would have left over. So your whole idea of I have extra $500 a week to play with, don't even use language like that. It's not a game. You're not playing. You're not playing. You signed up for this debt, so you can choose to pay it off if you can pay that off within 3 years per Dave. But you can also fix the problem immediately if you sell the car and buy a beater. But I would recommend you cut expenses, and you can do that on $60K a year and only $893 in rent. That's great rent. So you're spending money somewhere else on eating out a lot or something like that. Who knows? There's stuff in your budget, sir or madam, that I can cut out of that in a heartbeat and not give a crap about that, because I, like Jade and John were talking about today on the show, they don't just tell you to do this stuff. They've done this sacrificing stuff themselves. And so have I. And so that's why I know it can be done. You just have to quit doing anything that is not 100% necessary if you want to get done with steps 1, 2, and 3 the fastest way. Also, work more, spend less, and work more, all at the same time, and that makes it happen even faster. All right, and external koala 971. What would Dave say about my situation? Everybody's concerned about their little situation. It's the Ramsey advice is the same for everybody. And so your little individual crap does not matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. So, but you would follow the same advice everybody else would. Let's see what it says. The dots. No, there's no dots. So this is all the question. Excellent. 2 houses in the Bay Area. Bay Area, California. That brings its own issues. That makes it much more difficult than anywhere else. But also you have so with the higher cost of living, normally comes higher salaries as well. You know, if you're in a salary job, of course, that is. You're not necessarily going to be making it like if you work at Chipotle, for example. That might not be too great if you're trying to support a family while working at Chipotle. One primary, one rental, both have 2% mortgage. Okay, and so what we do here is we undo the dumbass crap we did before we found Mr. Ramsey's advice. And you think, how can I get closer to Mr. Ramsey's advice? His advice is to not have a mortgage on rental property. Oh, okay. So if I should not have bought it, what I can do now is sell it, and then you won't have it. Cash flow, I don't care. Profit on rental, $3K per month. If it doesn't need a new roof, sure. I make 300K base salary. Okay, I mean, so you're not gonna like it because it stops you from having your little rental profit. It stops you. I mean, 3K a month is 3K a month, but that's still 36,000 a year, right? 36,000 a year. And what happens if you need a new roof for that? Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye, profit. Bye bye. So you're not in a position to do that. And again, that rental properties have to be bought all in cash. So you would sell that and put any profit from that, any equity you have in that, you would put that towards the primary house instead, if not other debt. If you have other debt, that would be paid off first. Let's see. 200 base salary, and they have a 2 million vesting in company equity over the next 4 years. Okay. You shouldn't do single stocks, even with your own company. I mean, if they're giving it to you, that's fine, but you should not be buying them for cheaper than they go for. Should not be doing that. Or I mean, in the furthest stretch of the advice, maybe you buy it for cheap, like if they're giving you 75% off, maybe you buy it for cheap, and as soon as you can, you sell it. So, but if this is going to take years to happen, then you would opt out of that and not do that, and you would just invest instead. Total asset value, not including unvested equity, around $4.5 million. That's including both of your mortgages, of which you should only have one for your residence. And total debt value around 1.5 million, mainly my two mortgages, 2% mortgage. Really interested in hearing if this is too risky a position to be in. Yes. Or what Dave's recommendation would be for me to grow my assets would be to not have debt dragging your assets down. So you get rid of the debt completely. See, so you see, part of baby step 0 here is where you decide you're not going to do debt anymore. And you're going to pay off the dumbass debt you have now. Stop it. So it will turn all of this right around because of your 4.5 million assets. You could possibly just change your mindset, and then based on that new mindset, you would just sell that rental property, and that may take care of all of this. It just depends on what else the debt is. What your other debt is. He didn't say whatever your other debt is, if there is any. If that house has a $1.5 million mortgage that you owe the $1.5 million. And you owe $1.5 million on that house, and you're making $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year on it profit. And again, that's if the roof doesn't freaking cave in and you have to replace it. So, so that's a no. But it does sound like you're in a pretty good position where you can reverse all of this immediately, and you should consider yourself fortunate that you can do that, because a lot of people can't do that. You just have to get over your financial bro mindset of debt leverage. So either Dave would say no debt leverage, so that means you would sell that rental property and put all that money towards your primary residence. Unless, of course, you have step 2 debt, non-mortgage debt, in which that case that would be paid off first. So, but with the numbers here, with the assets being so high, the problem with assets, like that being so high, if it's stuff you're not willing to sell, then it doesn't do you any good to have assets like that. What good does that do you? If you're counting all that stuff and you're like, oh, I'm not going to sell any of it. It's like, well, why did you write the question? You're on DaveRamsey.com. What did you think? What did you think? You don't know that Dave is the no debt guy? What did you think he was actually going to say? Oh, well, no, everybody knows that you will keep a 2% mortgage and you have to debt leverage to make money. No, you don't in both cases. So that would be a no. Dave's a no get debt guy, no debt leverage. So do not do that dumb crap. Or do it, and don't ask then. If you think that's the right thing to do, why would you ask a no debt guy about continuing to use debt that way, debt leverage that way? Why? Why would you do that? That seems nutty. Again, California, so too much sun maybe. Little agua. Smooth sample. What's that? $30.99. I think I'm staying back enough, I think, to well, leaned in a little bit. Too much there. I'm looking at myself like 7 seconds ago. All right, I think I'm staying back pretty well though. Mostly. My boyfriend spends roughly 70-80% of his pay on his mother's care, and he will not listen to reason. What is that? Is that Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I think, or one of the Pee-wee movies? I'm trying to listen to reason. Need some help here. Okay. So my boyfriend, okay. So if it's a boyfriend, this would fall in the category of it being none of your business as far as how he lives his life and what he chooses to do. It does become your business in that if it's a deal breaker, then you can walk and he doesn't need to be your boyfriend anymore. That's the only control you have here. You can choose to not be his girlfriend any longer if that's a deal breaker. If not, then you guys need to talk about it and deal with it. But I mean, as far as just boyfriend, girlfriend, you don't need to completely agree on everything monetarily. The only time that that's going to become an issue really is if you don't like it at all, which we know you don't. It just depends if it's a deal breaker. So how much do you not like it? And 70 to 80 is insane, of course. So, I mean, I'm with you on this, but I'm also against you because of your little deal, like that you have something to do with this. You don't, except where it would affect your decisions. Of course, because this can easily be an issue that's too much of a deal breaker for you, and you can bounce from the situation. That's all you get to do. You don't get to interfere in anything. Oh, well, he should be doing. It doesn't matter. If you said he won't listen to reason, and you tried to reason, that also, if he will not listen to you, listen to reason, if he won't do that enough to your liking, you can bounce for that reason as well. I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years. Maybe that was 2 years too long. So, and you don't, because you're with someone for 2 years, that doesn't mean you stay with them. You don't throw good money after bad, as the saying goes. I went into this knowing he was caring. Dore his mother. Okay. Sounds like my daughter when she was 2 or 3. Very little. She was speaking at a very young age because she was surrounded with other children. But she couldn't make the F sound. So she would say for 4, she would say door. Also for the store, she would say door as well back then. So, thanks you for reminding me of that. That was so cute. but caring for his mother who suffers from dementia. But he spends nearly 70-80% of his take home on her care, and that's this is a different thing too. He's not blowing it, for example. He's not spending it at the casino, that kind of thing, or on Las Drugas. And has been doing so since he was 25. Okay, he's going to be 37. Okay, so you knew that this was going to be involved. Maybe you didn't know it was 70-80% until recently, and that raised your hackles. And let's see, and he has no retirement, but he does have around 15K cash for an emergency fund. But other than that, he has nothing. Right. So guess what? If you marry him, guess what? You are going to be his emergency fund and retirement. And something tells me that you are not down for that. His take home is around 12K a month, but he pays around 8 to 10K a month for his mother's care. Yeah. She has no assets, of course not, and does have Medicaid, but she was getting poor quality care, lost a ton of weight and stuff, so he shifted over to private pay. Okay, well, I mean, my name is Paul, and that's between them. Again, you don't get to insert yourself with these decisions. We're not making these decisions all together. He is making them alone, with or without his mom. If she's on dementia or in dementia status, probably she shouldn't be helping to make the decision, but he was the one that did this. She's doing much better now, great, but it is breaking him. He still has around 40K in student loans. Yeah, okay. I don't need to read the rest of it. There's no need to read the rest of it, because it doesn't matter what other little crap is in there. You can bounce if it's a deal breaker. Otherwise, this is life. This is life. And there's no way, a lot of times, like the spouse or boyfriend/girlfriend writes in or calls the Ramsey show, and they're trying to fix the situation around the person. And the problem is the person, because it's the person that's making these decisions. And so you can bounce from this situation if it's a deal breaker. If it's not a deal breaker, I don't think this is anything you can compromise on. Like, let's just say you were thinking about getting married, and you were thinking about what that might need to look like for you to feel okay about it. If this is, say, gambling money or fun money or something like that, you could say, all right, hey man, how about I get it. You want to gamble, have fun, or you want to, whatever you're doing to for fun, collecting Star Wars stuff, maybe something like that. But instead of 70, how about we take that down to 10 and be adults now? If you want, because I would like to marry an adult. So how about we take that down to 10 or so, and you can haggle on the percentage, whatever. Okay, but that's not the situation. The situation is that's how much his mother's care costs, and he switched her to private care. So I don't even know if she could go back on the whatever it was. What was it? Not Medicaid. Medicaid, yeah. So I don't even know if she would be eligible to go back after you switch to private pay. I don't know about that. So I don't think he has and especially if he insists on helping his mother. And if he insists on paying for it, what are you going to do? There's no way to work around him making that decision. So I don't know what you expect. I mean, Mr. Ramsey's pretty cool, but he's also not a miracle worker that can change your situation immediately by, of course, changing the mindset of a person. He can't do that. people are in charge of their own mindsets. So it's just up to you. You get to decide with your mindset if you can live with his mindset. And if that bothers you enough, you won't even be his girlfriend at all. Not to even mention, you would never be his wife. And so if you're not going to be wife, some people eventually, it depends on how old he's going to be 37. Doesn't say how old she is, but, like at around 37 years old, that's when you're probably not just having a boyfriend, girlfriend for fun. You're probably thinking about the long term there. Not always, but I would think in most cases. Critical emotion, 762. 100K inheritance. If your wife's grandfather, well, okay, there wouldn't be an apostrophe in there. There would be the R. There would not be the E. Your is possessive, so that would be Y-O-U-R. And, I'm going to pretend, even if this wasn't the case, that the person used text-to-speech. And text-to-speech really ought to, type that for you, right? Where it types the your, like the contraction for you are, where it types that is your wife, and then immediately says, oh, that's incorrect English. Let me autocorrect that for the fine gentleman or lady that is trying to get me to do the text. The computer ought to be able to do that, even on a phone. So that's the problem I have with that. If you're her wife, I have a lot of problems. If your wife's grandfather was leaving your 2-year-old at this time, he is still living. $100,000 as a inheritance. That would be an inheritance. How would you handle this money for your child to best suit her when she's 18? You could even put in a high yield savings account, or you could. It's going to be over 5 years, so you could also put it in the market. If you want to be the safest with it, that would be high yield savings account. Probably not going to make as much money as in the market over 16 years, it looks like it's going to be, or whenever 10, maybe 10 plus years, something like that. Depends on when he's going to be dying. However many, if it's 5 years between the time span you will need before you'll take the money out, then you can use the market for a piggy bank, and that you would make the most money on that. But also, if it's for her and she lives with you and you are providing for her, if you take some of that money to help pay for rent and food and stuff, that is still benefiting her. So for example, that would be the child support. A lot of people feel like that, oh, okay, well, I got the child supports for my daughter, so I'm not going to use that to pay off debt or to pay for any expenses of the house. And the advice is, yes, you do use that to pay off debt, or if it makes you feel better, you say in your mind that you were using that to pay some expenses, then you use your own money to pay off the debt, because that gives you more because you're using that. So, and it's dumb to have that just sitting around. I mean, it's making interest, sure. In a high yield savings account, it's gaining in the market. Of course, it would be. But also, if you are in financial dire straits here, or even just want to make them better for yourself and your daughter, then using some of that money for that is going to help your daughter. So it is going to be for your daughter. So that it would be the case there. in that. At first I thought this was going to be an inheritance to the adult here. And in that case, you would put any money that comes in from anywhere, any source at all, to whatever baby step you're on. Knickerbocker 3900. House cash or mortgage? The advice is to pay completely in cash. However, Mr. Ramsey will not yell at you if you take out a 15-year mortgage on it. Not a 50. That's a different thing entirely. Not anything over 15 and an extra day. Nothing like that. Hello, current situation. I have $1 million in a brokerage account. Then, guess what? You pay cash for your house. I don't even need to read the rest of your crap. I will anyway, just see if there's anything interesting since it's such a short post. But you stop right there and you pay cash for it. To not do that and to use some of that million or any portion of it in some other capacity, including keeping it in a brokerage account, that, my friend, is what we talked about earlier. That's debt leverage, and that's a no. You want reddit.com/r/financial-bro for that kind of advice, not reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is the no debt and no debt leverage guy. Are you new? Or just a troll? Could happen. Let's see, and about 1.1 million in high yield savings accounts. Yes, you're paying cash for your house. Why are you so dumb? How you get so big eating food of this kind? How do you make so much money being dumb like you are? My question is, should I pay $550 cash for the house and just have peace of mind that the property is paid off? Yes. Your dumb ass should have already had it paid off a long time ago. You're an idiot. Yes, my goodness. And use my income to invest in stocks or ETFs. Is it worth not paying interest versus investing to fund mortgage? You're not funding the mortgage. You're paying it off completely, so you don't have any interest. Is it worth not paying versus you're talking about, is it better to debt leverage? And you're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit, so no freaking way. Again, go to the Financial Bro subreddit or the debt leverage subreddit, and that's probably any general financial as well, like reddit.com/r/finance. Any normal page concerning finance is probably gonna say yeah, you should debt leverage, but that's not the Ramsey advice. So why would you do that? Why would you, even if you know he's the no debt guy and no debt leverage guy? Some idiots actually, and these people are even dumber than this guy, just doing this kind of debt leverage when he has the money. Is $2.1 million in a brokerage account, split between a brokerage account and a high yield savings account, and he did not put that money in to pay off his mortgage, which has $550,000 left. I mean, I'm assuming it's 1,000 and not just $550. Cause you're a dumbass if it's only $550. And if it's only $550, yes, this is a troll. But I'm assuming, I'll be nice and say he just left off he's still a dumbass though, and say he left off the K off of that. But yes, you would pay that off, as Mr. Ramsey likes to say. Today you would do that. And it should have been done a long time ago. Instead of the money even being put into those kind of accounts, you are an idiot, sir. Green Complex 3294. Save for a roof versus pay off debt. All right, I'm gonna need a new roof in about 2 years. I got several quotes. I've read this one before. Sometimes they switch places. They can be the same number of days ago, and they switch places sometimes. Even when you sort by newest, they still sometimes switch places in the order. And so I have talked about this before. This says I'm gonna need a roof in about 2 years. Okay. And I've gotten several quotes. Now, when you got the quotes, did they all look at the roof, or did you just in your having no idea? I'm assuming. I mean, it could be a roofer or somebody that has a vague idea about what to look for in a roof and knows when it needs to be replaced in about 2 years. I would get a second opinion on that, because maybe, just maybe, somebody came out and probably was, you didn't even think about it before, and somebody was just offered, some roofer, or knocked on the door. They love to do this kind of crap, where they would say, I was in the neighborhood. I was at one of your neighbor's houses giving them an estimate for their roof. Would you like me to check out your roof to see if it has any problems? And then they check it out, and oh my goodness, guess what? It needs a roof in about 2 years now. It could possibly be the case that it does. You do need a new roof in about 2 years. But I would get a second opinion on that, not just get other quotes. I would make other roofers tell you how long your roof will last. And if you get varying answers between 0 and 10 years, well, I'm going to say that's a crapshoot then. I'm going to say you can't count on any of that being true. If they all come out about 2 years, either they're all crooked or you actually do need a new roof. So, but the answer here would be to, okay, let's pretend first case scenario. Instead of worst case, we'll do first case scenario, is that yes, needs a roof in 2 years. Okay, you got to make sure you save up the money before 2 years, and that would take precedence over paying off debt. If it can be put off for 5 years and you can get out of debt in 2 years, you do not save a penny for the roof, and you pay off your debt for those 2 years. And then after that, then you start saving for the roof if you need it. If you actually need it. Second case scenario, what did I say? That's if you do. That's if you don't need it right away, then you put it off and take care of your finances first. And then finances being much more taken care of, you would have more extra money to put towards roof savings at that point. So, and all your little numbers here on whatever one loan that I pay for, and all that doesn't matter. None of that matters. Obvious Extreme 7243, thinking fun question for the nerds. Okay. Sometimes I think some of these might be a little bit interesting, but most of the time I think that that's a waste of time. Why don't you go make money or think about something else? Instead of like financial theory thought experiments aren't really my thing. But let's see. I will try not to close the door on this person's curiosity voyage into this, though. We've been basically following the plan for years. Basically, not, I didn't say entirely. So you might be doing it wrong. Often having setbacks like job changes. Is that a setback? I mean, because if it's your choice to change the job, then you are the setback. You didn't have the setback, you caused it. So you got to think about that. And moves, again, if you didn't have to move, you did that. Medical issues, those will happen, and you probably didn't cause those. Hopefully, it's nothing that you did voluntarily. And whatnot. Life is not whatnot. That's also none of your business. That's from a lovely 80s movie called 16 Candles, John Hughes. But right now, we're hovering right around 6 months of expenses saved. Well, that's all you should have until you're in step 7. You should not have more than that. In our various accounts, why would you have various accounts of... What would your emergency fund be spread out in various accounts? That's so dumb. One of these finance shows, was it Ramit? I can't remember who it was. Anyway, gentleman told the financial expert guy that he likes to put money in different banks, even though it's only a little bit of money in different banks, because that way it seems like more. That guy is an idiot. You know it's not more. So what's this seems like more? Crap. You're so dumb. Anyway, right now we've got that money divided up with names, new car, vacation, electronic replacement, phones, computer table, kitchen replacement. See, none of this is an emergency. None of this is an emergency, so that money doesn't go to that. The 6 months of expenses is your emergency fund. And you know what you spend that on? You guessed it, emergencies. None of this stuff is an emergency. Okay, the list keeps going on and on and on too. Outdoor replacement, grill, mower, chainsaw, blower, etc., etc. Obviously, if there was a job loss, we would just raid all of those lines, but keeping them separate helps me see that money is available when something small breaks. That's no, 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 and no. The emergency fund is all together. I don't care how your brain works or anything like that because you are nutty. Let's see what else there is. Of course, there's way too much typed here about this. Hear him out. Just hear him out. Something small breaks, okay? And often, if something small breaks, that's not necessarily an emergency. Like if you lose your chainsaw, unless you are cutting up wood for your own fireplace, you do not need a chainsaw, probably. I was curious if anybody else used a similar system. No, because our brains work correctly, unlike yours. Or could help me make some minor improvements to it. Yeah, you don't have that at all. Again, those are not an emergency. I mean, if you use a chainsaw to cut wood for your fireplace and that's your main source of heat in the winter time, then that could be an emergency. But the rest of this stuff, no, it's not. I mean, if your lawnmower breaks, then you stop and you save up money for it for a couple weeks, a month, something like that, and then you buy a cheap mower. You know, you're not getting, if you have a riding mower now, you're not getting on baby step one. Depends on what baby step you're on as well. So you would not be getting a riding mower again. And so a grill, guess what you do if you have a grill? If you have a grill and it goes out, guess what you do? You know what you do? You cook in freaking doors on the stove. And you don't get to do that. Again, it all depends on what baby step you're on, but you would just save money for the replacement. You wouldn't necessarily get it right away because it's not in a freaking emergency. Let's see, where were we? Minor improvement. I feel like, for me, of course, you feel like something because you're obviously not doing a lot of thinking. Except on dumb crap, like, I don't know. Some people's minds work differently. I get that, but I don't see how this makes sense to anybody. I feel like for me, keeping enough money to individually replace all of those is probably excessive. No, you should have 6 months of your expenses in a full emergency fund. That's what it should be. If you are on step 2, though, or step 1, if you're on step 1 or 2, you should not have a full emergency fund. You should only have $1,000. Where were we? I feel like for me, keeping enough money to individually replace all of those is probably excessive, but it's basically a full sinking fund. No, it's a full emergency fund, not a full sinking a fund. You sinking a fund? Sinking fund, you dumbass. If I project something to last 5 years and I put 20% of the money, overthinking it. It doesn't require this much thinking the way you're doing it. You're doing it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. Do you all calculate the lifespan of that stuff, divide it up and save the money? No. A very low percentage of people might be doing that, and that would be people like you that are nutty. To save it every year, like a person might save a couple of percentage. No, another person might just save the full emergency fund and call it a day. And then they would decide whether it's an actual emergency to replace the item or not. And if it's not, then you just save to replace it if it's not an emergency. And it being an emergency means you need the item right away, or the service care if it's a medical emergency, that kind of thing. If it isn't needed right away, you have time to save for it. Dumb. How do you balance stuff like mowers and cars and appliances, which will be immediately repaired or replaced if broken? No, they won't be if you don't have the money for it and it's not an emergency. Again, a grill, guess what? You can cook on the stovetop. I'm sorry if that's not the way you want to do it. You can do that. Versus stuff that can be delayed, like a person won't replace all of their linens at once. Some of it will be tossed, and then okay. Again, thinking way too much about it, and I'm giving too much time to it as well. Anyway, so I see what you're doing, but you're going down a trail you didn't even need to go down in the first place. You're getting lost in the darkness. Look for the light, my friend. I know this is long and rambly, but I'm looking for some ideas. Your brain waves are probably long and rambly as well. Mainly curious to see how all of you handle that kind of thing, especially with a spouse that is not a spreadsheet nerd. You know what she would love? She's probably as tired of your bullcrap as I am. She has to live with you doing this. So what you do, see, break it down. Quit thinking about it. You're overthinking it. And I'm an overthinker as well, but I don't go down these rabbit holes like this. And something like this. Mr. Ramsey has the advice of a full emergency fund once you do get to step 3, and that takes care of all of your emergencies. And if it's not an emergency, you don't replace it right away. Like a car, you do have to, that's part of baby step 0 is to have transportation. So if your car needs a new battery, that's an emergency. So you could take the money from the emergency fund to do that. The only time you don't do it is if it can be delayed, and if it can be delayed, it's not an emergency, and so you don't take the money from the emergency fund. You save for it. Where are we at? Mainly curious to see how you that kind of thing. Oh, with a spouse, yeah, she probably hates you. At least your brain, anyway, for doing this stuff. So you're making it far too complicated. The Ramsey advice, of course, is not complicated at all. And so how about you just follow that and make sure you're following that correctly. Go down a rabbit hole on that instead of questioning it or trying to think of other ways to do stuff, like making it way more complicated to having different accounts for the freaking coffee maker and crock pot. That's so dumb of you. So very dumb. And so, yeah, major overthinker here. Maybe the king of the overthinkers. We might have a new king. All hail the new king. And that was not a thinking fun question. That was nutty. Would you or would you not? Proud scientist, 1841. Wife and I are roughly $40,000 worth of debt. Only personal loan. Are in roughly $40,000 worth of debt on a personal loan. That is phrased correctly. My bad. Didn't see the N there. At 9.25%. We're renting from our parents for cheap, which is a lifesaver. Why'd you get a card yet? Because you were dumb. And so we got to not be dumb now. Now we got to fix the dumb. But we have land that was gifted to them to build our home on. Gifted for them? You mean from them to build our home on? I'm going to assume from them to build our home on. This project has been halted because of our loan situation. That is a fabulous thing that you did. That was the correct decision. They have offered to pay the loan off for us. Paging Dr. Cloud. Paging Dr. Cloud. That's all great. Now, if they are gifting that to you, allow them to pay back. No, you don't do loans with family. No, no, and no. If they want to give you something like the land, that's fine. But also, you ought to be able to sell it now as well. And so if they give it to you with the stipulation of, no, you can't sell it to anybody. We don't want anybody else living on our land. You have to live on that land. And you're not in the position to build a house right now. It's going to be a while, too, before you can do that. So you would not take a loan from in-laws to do that. And of course, it's always the in-law that writes in about it. Wife should be more concerned about that and taking the lead here because it's her parents, not yours. But the in-law is always the one that calls in or writes in or something like that to the Ramsey show. When there are issues involving the in-laws. And because you know why? Because the blood relative either doesn't want to make it that big a deal or doesn't think it's as big a deal as the in-law is thinking that it is. Let's see. So you two have to get on the right page, on the same page. Pay them back over time, cheaper, so we can go ahead and move forward with our home plans. Yeah, that's a no. That's going to be a no. No, you don't take out more debt. Well, I mean, it's not really taking out more debt. It's kind of like consolidating or whatever. So you're trading one loan for another loan, and they'll let you pay it off longer. And that's not the baby steps. Making your debt take longer in order for you to be able to get another loan to do something else with. That's not the Ramsey advice at all. Which I know is very nice. Not really. I guess the thought is nice. Would y'all take them up on this? No. Why or why not? Told you already. Not the Ramsey advice. You do not borrow money from anybody except a mortgage lender. And that's only in a 15-year fix for a personal residence, not for rental property. And the not borrowing money from anybody, that's especially true with friends and family. Do not do that. So, was I clear on that? Did that answer why or why not? I think it did. My wife and I combined bring over $5,200 a month after taxes and are working to pay this off. Bad choices over time led to this. Yes, so don't make any more. We also have a 7-month-old son, and he's growing. And let's see what the growing son has to do with it, and what is this going to be justification station for? And he's growing and in need of space. You mean and, which is why we are trending forward. Yes. You mean toward, yes, because it would have a bigger home, and that's a no either. And that's your justification station. Oh, our baby, he's 7 months and he's growing and in need of space at 7 months. And you're in a shack now, or you're in like a 1-room house right now. You're living in a shed right now, and so he doesn't have room. This idiot. Like this is just the standard idiocy of, like, I mean, it's very normal. You want to do stupid stuff. You want to do this. And then you may have best intentions of providing a nicer place for your son. That's fine if you have those intentions, but it's also dumb to do it in this manner. And so you are justifying that in order to have a bigger home. And so that's still a no. You remember back when I said don't borrow money from any individual? And then especially footnoted it with especially not wife, not friends or family. Remember when I said that? Yeah, that still applies, and that trumps your little, oh, he's growing out of it. 7 months old. He's growing and in need of space. Hashtag justification station. Stop being dumb. This is the overall advice to everybody. I was dumb too. So I get it. So that way I can really see it. So let's see. On tomorrow's after show, we'll be talking about pensions and why the 12.25% of his gross that goes towards that pension does not count as 12.25%. It counts for another number towards Mr. Ramsey's 15%. It doesn't count as full value. Mediocre. Oh, I'm not reading that. Don't know how to start. Step 0 is good. Has a lot of components to that. Most people probably start on step 1, not realizing that there is a step 0. And step 1 is $1,000 emergency fund. And then second step is start paying off debt. So you could, while you look further into the Ramsey advice, you could do that. And just do that. But the best thing to do would be to do step 0 stuff first, which you won't know by looking at the Ramsey advice. So you got to do a little bit more digging into the advice and listen to the show and so forth. Creating budget for first time, and that is part of step 0, the budget. How long did it take you? It doesn't matter. Quit asking how long or how much money does this person have at this age and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It will take as long as it takes for you. And if you think you didn't spend enough time on it, check it again. Maybe you're just a fast budgeter. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Quit being dumb, people. Which debt should we attack first? I don't know. I guess I don't like people. I don't know. I don't have much patience for them. Because you know what I think it is? I think it is because most people obviously have an issue because they searched out payoff debt, and that's how they found out about Dave Ramsey to begin with. This is again what I'm thinking is most people. And so you got a problem and you're trying to fix a problem. And so the first thing to do is stop being dumb. And are you too dumb to know you're not being dumb? Is that what the problem is? So I don't know. What debt should we attack next? It says on the thing, smallest to largest. Debt snowball. So there's no question about that. There's no special little situation that changes anything unless it's IRS debt, then that goes to the first. So there's occasionally an exception, but that would be it. What should I do with the interest on my emergency fund? You can put it into the sinking fund of your choice or apply it to whatever baby step you're on. Sofa Panic. Sarah here now again. Sarah likes to write stuff on here. I needed a sofa. The floor works fine unless you have money for a sofa. All right, so we'll find out about Sarah's little stuff again. Sarah's been getting kind of trolly, maybe, or been doing a lot of dumb stuff lately. But she's a constant poster on here quite often. Transition from maximalist to minimalist. Okay, and if you have too much stuff and you sell some of the stuff and help pay your debt, that'll be it. Why doesn't Dave recommend VA loans when they don't require PMI? There's several reasons, and I will tell you all about that. And again, and these other ones, these other questions. Does Dave's philosophy work if you live in California? Yes, but you got to make California money. If you don't, you need to move or start making that amount of money in order to stay there. Alrighty. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Much appreciated. Once again, I am Coach Steve Money. I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you've got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. Alternatively, the Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney. It wasn't taken. Imagine that. Walmart gift card to coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Same email address. You can also email me about anything. Upcoming streams, subject to change as always, as it did this week. Was going to do it after show yesterday. That changed. Ramsey's Aftershow show, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and did it today, Tuesday. And there also will be Wednesday and Friday, November 12th and 14th. And Thursday, November 13th is a maybe. So maybe for the rest of the weekdays this week. And answering your financial questions streams, 8 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and or Sunday. Could be one, could be the other, could be both. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching again. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And as always, make smart. I don't have it. Hate it when I do that. Didn't quite scroll all the way back up. My bad. Hate it when I do that. Make smart financial decisions and got to frame it correctly as well. Decisions every day.